Ready to go home, Fidel. Listo, para regreso.
Ahora no voy a hablar contigo, voy a hablar.
Okay.
Ahora me voy a sentar, respirar y entonces después nos vemos.
Enough New York.
Sí. Bueno, ¿cuándo te mandamos para acá otra vez? Tú no has pagado nada por el pasaje, el avión.
For your travel tickets, that way it's very easy to be a journalist, you know.
But look at all this free publicity.
Pero vea toda esta publicidad que le estoy dando de gratis.
Es verdad.
It's true.
We're wondering why you decided to leave New York in such a hurry.
Nos preguntamos por qué decidió usted salir de Nueva York tan apresuradamente.
No, yo no salí apresuradamente.
I did not leave in so much of a hurry.
Yo salí el miércoles para Nueva York.
Left for New York on
Estuve
Wednesday.
el jueves completo.
I stayed there the whole of Thursday,
Viernes,
Friday,
sábado.
Saturday,
Me parecía que ya era bastante
and I
tiempo.
thought it was time enough.
Yo creo que le estaba
It was
costando
long
caro
enough. I think I was being
a la
expensive
ciudad de Nueva York.
to New York City.
Miles de personas trabajando.
Thousands of people working.
Ya yo había visto las
I
personas
had already
fundamentales
seen the
con las
main
cuales había proyectado reunirme.
people that I had planned to meet with.
Pero más importante,
But what was more important
ya había cumplido el
is
objetivo
that
del
I had
viaje.
already implemented the objective of the trip.
Me pareció lo más
And I thought
razonable
this was the most reasonable thing to do.
venir un poco más
That is
temprano.
to come a little bit earlier.
He estado en Nueva York. Estuve 76 horas en
I
Nueva York.
was in New York for 76 hours.
Fue mucho más tiempo
It was much longer
que el que nosotros necesitamos para liquidar la
what
invasión de
we
Girón.
needed to do away with the Hirón invasion. Nothing else.
Además, no la pasé mal.
Besides, it was not a bad
Nos
stay.
reíamos mucho realmente.
We actually laughed a lot.
Todas las anécdotas,
On every story,
todas las experiencias.
all the experiences,
Hicimos muchas bromas.
and we made a lot of
Puedo
jokes.
decir que me reí mucho.
I can tell you that I laughed a lot during all that stay. Okay, ¿cuál era lo gracioso?
Bueno, te voy a poner algunos
Well,
ejemplos.
let's give you some examples.
Parece que a Carlos Rafael le dijeron algunas
Seems
cosas desagradables.
That some people called Carlos Rafael some
Cuando yo llego
unpleasant
no
words.
oigo nada.
And when I arrived, I did not hear anything.
Y había alguien que decía asesino, asesino.
And someone was calling him a
Y
murderer,
yo le decía a Carlos
murderer.
Rafael, eso es contigo, Carlos
And I
Rafael.
was
yo no
telling
tengo nada
Carlos
que ver con
Rafael,
eso.
Carlos Rafael, they're referring to you, not to me. I have nothing to do with that.
Cuando venía de las Naciones Unidas,
When I came from the UN,
alguien dijo algo
someone shouted something
fuerte. Yo oí
something
algo.
strong. I heard
Pasaba.
something when I was passing
Y
by.
entonces cuando llego a ver a Carlos Rafael,
Then when I get to see Carlos
en la
Rafael,
misión le digo, Carlos
in
Rafael,
mission, I tell him,
te han mentado la madre.
Carlos Rafael, somebody has mentioned your mother.
Your mother, a Carlos Rafael.
Carlos Rafael's mother.
What would you do if you were mayor of New York City, Fidel? There's 8 million people in Cuba, there's 8 million people in New York.
¿Qué haría usted de ser alcalde en la ciudad de Nueva York? Nueva York tiene 8 millones de habitantes, más o menos
Si
parecido a
yo
los
fuera
de Cuba.
alcalde
If I were a
de
mayor,
Nueva York, lo primero que haría era renunciar.
the first thing I would do was to resign. ¿Por qué?
Me parece una ciudad ingobernable.
Because I think this is a city that cannot be governed.
The work you like the least is what?
Bueno, el trabajo que menos le gusta.
El trabajo de dormir
The work of sleeping
y el tiempo que tengo que invertir en eso.
and the time I must spend in that. And
Y
finally,
por último, el trabajo que más odio
And
son las
finally,
entrevistas de prensa.
the work I hate the most are press interviews,
Especially with North American press.
especialmente con la prensa norteamericana.
Pero al fin y al cabo
But in the end,
es interesante.
it is interesting.
Y siempre hay una lucha,
And there is always a struggle.
siempre me someten a juicio.
I am always subjected to
Me
judgments
interrogan.
and I'm questioned.
I think it's obvious that Fidel enjoyed the experience of talking to us.
When did you start smoking?
¿Cuándo comenzó usted a fumar, Fidel?
Yo comencé a fumar
I started smoking
cuando era todavía estudiante de
when
bachillerato,
I was still studying high school.
que mi padre fumaba
And my father used to smoke.
y me regaló un
And he
tabaco.
gave me a cigar.
Yo a lo mejor me sentí muy halagado
Maybe I
y
felt greatly encouraged by that.
empecé a fumar.
And then I started to smoke.
I don't think anybody ever asked him the type of questions that he was being asked. I think he liked the spirit, the sort of things that we were trying to explore, that we were trying to sort of dig inside him in a way that other people hadn't.
Yo en general con los periodistas.
In general, in the case of journalists,
Siempre, yo no doy muchas entrevistas.
I do not offer many interviews
Yo no me gusta tratar
because I don't
problemas a la carrera.
like to discuss problems hurriedly.
Pero siempre que trabajo con los
But
periodistas,
every time I work with journalists,
hago el máximo
I
esfuerzo de mi
make the
parte.
greatest of effort on my part.
Everybody wants to know why you're giving us so much time in the United States.
En Estados Unidos, ¿por qué usted nos está dedicando tanto tiempo a nosotros?
¿A quién?
You?
No soy yo el que quiero saber
It's
por
not
qué ustedes me están
me
dedicando a mí
that-
tanto tiempo.
I want to know why are you dedicating so much time to me?
You don't think your visit was historic, Fidel?
¿Usted no cree que su visita haya sido histórica, Fidel?
No me correspondería decirlo a mí.
I would not be the person to have to say that.
You don't think the American people can learn something by actually talking to you?
¿No cree usted que el pueblo norteamericano puede aprender algo realmente conversando sencillamente con usted?
Aprender no, pero pudiera comprender más.
Maybe not to learn, but understand more.
En realidad,
So,
de no
actually,
tener una reputación
If you would not have
de hombre
the
serio,
reputation of being a serious
de
man,
hombre honesto,
of being an honest man,
de hombre valiente,
being a courageous man,
yo no hubiera podido invitarlo a
I
él.
would not have been able to invite you here.
Pero esa relación sufrió un percance varios meses después, cuando comenzaba el éxodo del Mariel.
We often had things in our stories that the Cuban government didn't like. But I think that they thought that we had done this and had reached our conclusions in an honest way, that we didn't start out with any preconceived ideas and we wanted to bash Cuba or bash Fidel. If we saw something that we thought was wrong, we thought it was wrong. And they always accepted and did not resent it until our report from Mariel Bay. And our report from Mariel Bay actually wound up sort of getting me banned from Cuba for about 4 or 5 years. He said, well, these people are scum, but you know, if you want these people, anybody who wants to leave can leave. And everything went crazy. Every Cuban who lived in Miami who had a boat, Fidel said, listen, all you need to do is send boats down here, and I'm going to fill them up with all the people who don't want to stay here. We're sending them back to the United States. Come and get them. What Fidel also was doing, and nobody knew this because nobody could see this, is that he was also emptying the prisons, and he was backing a bus up to the prisons and anybody want to stay in prison, or would you like to go to the United States? So all the murderers and all the rapists and all sorts of nasty people got to go to the United States. Went to the mental institutions, emptied the mental institutions, went around neighborhoods recruiting people who he thought would be unhappy. This was the big escape valve that he was going to use to get rid of people who didn't want to be there or who he didn't want there.
I am gay.
You're gay?
Yes.
Yes. And you have problems here?
Yes.
There was some suspicion that a lot of the people that were on the boats weren't Uncle Jose and Grandma Maria, because people were saying, well, I went there to pick up my aunt, but they put 10 people who I never, and they were really scary people that they put on my boat. There were 50 reporters in Havana that were trying to go to Mariel Bay, and the Cubans only allowed me to go. I was the only foreign reporter who went. And I saw it with my own eyes. I saw prisoners going on the boats, people who were 5 hours out of the mental hospital going on the boats, and I put it in my report. And when NBC sent a jet to Miami, to Havana. NBC sent a jet to Havana, picked up my tape, flew it to Miami, a helicopter was waiting, took it to the Miami Bureau, and it was on nightly news that night, and 15 minutes after the report aired, Jimmy Carter went on TV, and more or less word for word from the wording of my report, stopped the boat lift, said that they're sending undesirables to the United States, and we're not going to allow this to happen. The boat lift is over.
Third, the Coast Guard is now communicating with all boats who are en route to Cuba and those in Mariel Harbor in Cuba to urge them to return to the United States without accepting additional passengers.
And what I didn't know is that there were 300,000 people who had gone to the Cuban authorities and registered that they wanted to leave and were in a holding pattern, ready to come to the United States, waiting while Fidel was sort of shipping out these other people. They had renounced the revolution, they had lost their jobs, maybe they were going to lose their houses, and they all had to be reabsorbed back into Cuba because the boatlet was over before they could leave. And somebody needed to be the scapegoat for this, and it was me. And so I didn't understand this, and I didn't understand the sort of anger and resentment. And had I known, you know, while I was editing this story, in those days, you didn't travel with your editing equipment because the editing equipment was so big. And so we were editing at Cuban television, and I'm editing this report, and the Cuban editors and personnel, they're sort of looking over my shoulder, and they're going, oh my God, what's John doing? And so I get a phone call from Fidel's secretary, wondering what's in my report, that he's hearing certain things, that I'm talking about undesirables being sent to the United States. And I said, well, that's what Fidel said. He called these people escoria, the scum. And I saw the scum, and they're on the boats going to the United States. That's my report. I says, okay. I hung up the phone.